The following video interview with Griff is part of the USMC VTA History Project. We're recording the stories and experiences of our members at the VTA reunion in Washington, D.C., and today is October 30th, 2015. Griff, would you give me your full name and rank, the years you were in the Marines, the years you were in country?
Are we taping now?
Yeah, we're on.
Oh, okay. My name is Jeff Griffith. I joined the Marines when I was 17. I was in country I joined the Marines in '65. They sent me to tank school at the boot camp, and I went then to California, back to Lejeune first. Then they sent me to California, and with the 5th Tank Battalion.
Okay.
Right? So we trained there and all that, and then we saddled up, in '66 we went by ship with the tanks, the retriever, the whole 9 yards, and off we went to Vietnam.
Where did you ship out of?
San Diego.
Okay.
You know, we had packed up lock, stock, and barrel, and off we went. Wild blue yonder, right?
Wow.
We went past Iwo Jima. We stopped in Hawaii for some good liberty. Then we took off, we went to Subic Bay, and that was great.
Wow.
We had just a great time in Subic, right? Then
Did you know you were headed for Vietnam?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Then we got back on ship. We went off the coast of Vietnam. We made a landing as grunts, okay?
Wow.
And spent a few days on the beach, into the boonies, you know, and that was an experience and a half.
Did you have M16s or were?
Yeah, we had M16s.
Okay.
No, M14s.
Okay.
We were the M14 guys. Yeah, they
66.
hadn't taken the M16s out of us yet,
Yeah.
you know, or the M14s out of us. We got them in Vietnam, and we're like, I don't know if I like this gun at all. I didn't care for it,
no.
you know. I wanted my 14 back.
Yeah, 14s
you know.
were good.
But I carried a 45. I'm a 2141.
Which is a tank mechanic?
Tank mechanic.
Okay.
Okay. Then we got back on ship, and we went to Da Nang and unloaded, and we went out to Hill 55
Okay.
at Liberty Bridge, or Liberty Road, and I spent most of my time in the field. Even though I was a 2141, I was a tanker, right? And I loved it. I just loved the Marine Corps.
Did you ride, were you the driver, loader, gunner, all of the above?
I did all of the above,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
But the retriever was my sweetheart,
Yeah.
okay?
What was your first retriever's name?
Color Me Bad. Okay. Color Me Bad was the first retriever. Then we had the Bodacious Bastard.
Okay.
Okay.
Notorious.
Yeah.
The Bodacious Bastard.
Bodacious
Yeah.
Bastard.
Notorious over
It
there.
was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And then we were up at Camp Carroll. We changed places with the 1st Marines. And not that we didn't have an experience down off of Hill 55.
Right.
We had Liberty Road, which took us out to Fulak 6. We had to ford the river. They had no bridge at that time. So we forded the river, we pull up, and we're in Fulak 6, and then we were out then for, I'd say, pretty much the winter at Anwa.
Okay.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Anwa. And they had an airstrip there.
Yeah.
Okay. And Gunny Kaliki, I'll never forget him. Big Hawaiian guy. I think at this time now he's passed on.
Yeah.
But always invited everybody to come and visit him in Hawaii, you know. And that was just fantastic, you know. And then my best bud, Sergeant Doug Miller, he was killed on Liberty Road. Whatever they stopped for, it was a convoy. He went off the slope plate and landed on a mine, and it just, I was so distraught once he was killed. I think of him at least once a day, if not more.
Right.
He's always on my mind. I had a good buddy when they made that first landing, Andy Anderson. He was a driver and had an RPG right through the front slope, 12 inches of steel, and it took off his leg. And being the Marine that he was, he took off his belt, he made himself a tourniquet, right, and continued to march until he got evac'd out. It was just an unbelievable Marine,
Yeah.
you know, and he must have had 1 day, 2 days in country, and that was the end of him. And then Sergeant Sewell, he got killed. He was a tank commander, and he got shot in the chest and set off a hand grenade, and just took him out. So to have somebody with breakfast and then him wind up being killed in the same day, it just was so traumatic. It's just an unbelievable experience when something like that happens and you're like, how easy is it to get killed here?
Yeah.
You know, it was just, it was a very bad experience,
Yeah.
you know.
When you went from what we call down south to the Nanyang area up to Dong Ha and replaced 1st Tank Division
Up at Camp Carroll.
Camp Carroll, did you drive up Route 1? Or?
Yeah, we drove up Route 1.
Okay.
Yep. Came by boat from Da Nang with,
Okay.
you know, I guess 2 tanks on that landing craft. And we came off in, where did we land first? Maybe Chulai? No, Chulai was down below.
Right.
I can't remember where we got off the boat. But then again, back on the road and we went up to Carroll.
Yeah.
You know,
The full company went up?
full company,
Wow.
right? Full
Any
company.
problems going up Route 1?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at that time.
Was it paved?
In spots.
Yeah.
You know, it was like some of the roads at home. You
Yeah.
know, I live in Pennsylvania, a little town called Dingman's Ferry,
Okay.
and yeah, the roads are atrocious. You know, but to get back to my story, I spent most of my time in the field with 1st Platoon. My lieutenant was Harris Himes,
Okay.
and everybody worshipped him.
Yeah.
They called him Alfie.
Yep.
Right? And I talk to him regular. He's in Montana, and he's had some troubles, and otherwise he would be here. He's not allowed to leave the state
Yeah.
for, what would we call that? By order of the, well, I guess the courts of Montana at this time won't allow him to leave. Otherwise, he'd be here.
Right.
Such an exceptional man. He wound up staying in the Marine Corps, retired as a lieutenant colonel, and he was a lawyer, and he wound up to be a pastor,
Wow.
right? And who'd have thought?
Yeah.
But his English always was so correct. You know, how we're slang talking and the whole thing, and he was like, well, Griff, you know, you know, it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
I won't even get into that right now. But here we were up at Camp Carroll, and my gunny was Scotty Davis, and he was a man to respect. He was a Korean Marine, and wound up in Vietnam. And my mom retired and went to live in Oceanside with her
California?
sister. Yeah,
Okay.
California.
Yeah.
So in '95, we went out to visit her, and we were down at the tank park, which was no longer a tank park. They had the Bradley fighting vehicles and that down there when they were seeing how they might be accepted by the Marine Corps. And I saw a civilian with a big USMC belt buckle and a cover. And I asked him, I said, by chance, does anyone know Gunny Davis? He said, oh, Gunny Davis, he's retired. He got out as a master gunnery sergeant, and he lived right there in town. And he had a big tour bus, you know, and him and his wife, and they were going to go up to New England and see the leaves and all that kind of thing, you know, and
Right.
have a trip up into the East Coast. And he was under his vehicle, and I kicked him in the foot on a creeper. And he was, "Who's that kicking me in my goddamn foot?" You know. I said, "Well, bring your fat ass out here, Gunny," because all I knew him was Gunny,
Yeah.
you know. And he pushed out from underneath the bus, ready to kick ass, you know. And it was like, "Hey, Gunny, it's Griff." Oh, well, we had the best time, you know. It was just great to see him.
That's
And I think he's passed on now,
Yeah.
you know. But back to Camp Carroll, I spent a lot of time out at the rock pile, all those little tank spots in between. Out at Cam Low, I went out to Quezon. I spent a considerable amount of time at Contien. It was some of the roughest times out there. With, you know, we were getting over 1,000 rounds incoming a day.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it was pretty hairy.
Now, were you doing mechanic work when you got to some tanks, or were you strictly a gunner or a loader?
No, I when we got back into Carroll, we'd always have a tank broke down with specifically the chassis.
Yeah.
You know, road wheel arms, track, the whole thing. And to get those torsion bars out, excuse me, at one point we were pounding on that broken piece inside the, what would you call that?
Well, I just know
The
that-
hull housing,
Yeah.
you know? And all you got is a little half-inch hole in there, and you're
Yeah.
trying to bang out the torsion bar, and that thing has been rusted in there, and I mean, the tanks have been there for quite a while. You know, you got a lot of water down in there, you got a lot of mud down in the hull, you know, and I said to myself, man, there's got to be a better way. So I wound up getting some C4, right, about the size of my thumb,
Yeah.
in a blasting cap and some fuse, and I stuck it in that hole, covered it with sandbags, lit the fuse, got the hell out. I mean, we hadn't emptied any of our ordnance,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It's all there. And bang, and that torsion bar came out as sweet as if it was covered in butter, you know. And I told the gunny what I did, and I think he got on the horn and called the other companies as to what the end result would be to get them torsion bars out.
Right.
You know, that was the sweetest thing. And so I think from that, the other companies carried on, and everybody was using C4.
It became the way to get the torsion bar.
Became the way to get them torsions bars out. So I felt pretty good about that, whether it was my own idea, but nobody else had ever explained that to me, you know. So I took the initiative and used a little C4 to get that out, you know.
What
And,
rank were you?
I wound up being E5 in '67. I had over 2 years in grade as a sergeant.
Wow.
And then I was a sergeant of Marines. It was just fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I fit in as a crewman. I was a driver. I was a loader. I was a gunner. And I was TC at times, you know,
Okay.
just because of my rank.
Yeah.
You know? But it was just fabulous. Now, as far as combat went, I saw a considerable amount of that. I wasn't afraid. At some points I was scared shitless, you know. Specifically being a driver. All you can do now is sit there in the front and button up and hear everything around you. The small arms hitting the tank like somebody was out there hitting the hull with a ball-peen hammer, you know. And I'll remember this. I was driving for Lieutenant Lulai.
Okay.
Now, I just fit into that crew, and now we're out in Contien, and we went down the trace, and we're going towards the river that separated North and South Vietnam. I think it was at
Ben High.
yeah, the Ben Hai River. Now, I'm trying to remember if Leatherneck Square, was that to the right of the trace, or was that to the left of the trace?
I think it actually was on both sides of the
Both
trace, but
sides?
more of it to the west.
To the west, okay, going in country.
If you went east, you got into Geolin and the sand dunes, and the foliage was not nearly as bad going towards the coast.
Right.
But if you went to the west,
Well, we were on the riverside,
okay.
okay?
All right.
Down the trace, we're out there. Pappy Reynolds was in one tank. I love that man.
Yeah.
I wished he was here for the
He's a
reunion. Is he ill?
I don't know, but I have not. I usually will get an email a month or two from him, or
Okay.
2 or 3 a month, and I haven't heard from him probably in 3 months, 4 months.
Okay.
And he's not here, so
Right.
he usually makes reunions.
He does. He's had every one.
Yeah.
You know, but now it's. I don't know whether we hit a mine. I talked to Lulai. He doesn't remember anything, and I'm really kind of pissed off at that. You know, because our tank was now. We were out. We lost the track. I can't remember whether we hit a mine, but we were stationary at this point. You know, we're done. And the F4s are coming in, dropping napalm. I can see them 100 yards away. I can feel the heat, you know. And then they're doing the victory roll, you know, them F4s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm glad these boys are here, you know. That was just fantastic.
Love calling those guys.
Right?
Yeah.
I loved it. And you get over the intercom, we must have been sitting there now 3 hours. And Lulai says, stand by to abandon tank. And I'm like, well, just that we lost the track here. I mean, what the hell? I got back on the intercom. I said, no, we're not going to do that. I jumped out. Had my 45. I wasn't wearing a flak jacket. We got incoming all around us. I called another tank over. I got his tow cables off. Hooked them bad boys up, and they drug us back out to the trace, you know? And they got on another tank, up to Cantien they go. And I'm sitting down there with a platoon of grunts. It was so freaking hot. And I'm handing out 5-gallon jerry cans of water for the grunts to keep them hydrated,
Right.
you know? And we're just waiting there. You know, waiting there. About 2 hours go by. Then they come back down with another tank, and they towed us back up into Cantien, you know. So I felt proud of myself for saving that tank.
Yeah.
There was no way we were going to leave that just because I lost the track, you know. So well, that was one of my experiences.
But, you know, it was a $1.3 million investment you just saved.
Yeah, thank you. You know, there was no way I was going to abandon that tank.
Yeah,
you
good
know?
for you.
Yeah, I felt very good about that. And so we're out at the rock pile. That's kind of a, you know, you're doing convoy escorts.
Road sweeps.
Road sweeps up to Kalu,
Yeah.
you know. And at one time now, I was driving for Lieutenant Hines, and I had the thought that we had a company, because we had 2 tanks. And we were up on the side of the mountain there, and there was an old village that was abandoned. It was up on the side of the freaking hill. And it was like a Zippo patrol. We were lighting them on fire, you know, the whole thing. And we get a call on the radio now that there's a convoy ambushed down on 9, you know. So we pack up a bunch of grunts on each tank, right? And down we go. We get on Route 9, we're going back towards the rock pile, and we come into the ambush site. 6 spies are on fire. There's ordnance all over the road, mortars, grenades. There was everything on the ground that you could have probably thrown there, you know. And I get told to stop, and we were in a heavy firefight. And now as a driver, I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't move anywhere because I just can't arbitrarily decide to go helter-skelter with the tank. You know, I've got to listen to the lieutenant. He's the eyes and ears of everything going on, you know, as the TC. And I button up the hatch, and I'm looking through the vision blocks, and I'm like, oh, my God. You know, my heart's pounding to beat the band. Yeah. And so I'd open up the hatch, and I look out there. I see a I don't know what you would call it, a fire team with RPGs. They pop out on the road, right? And I see that RPG on his shoulder, and I'm looking straight at the freaking detonation of the point of that RPG, and that thing comes flying right over the tank. And I'm on the horn. I'm like, LT, gunner. I have an RPG team. It's right at 12 o'clock, you know. The turret ain't doing nothing, you know. They come back out on the road again, shoot again, right past the tank it goes. I'm like, God almighty. That's two, right? What the hell? You know, we're going to get hit. We're going to get hit. He's going to get his aim right. Sure as shit, the next round. Bam, hits the cupola, right? Lieutenant Himes goes down in a pile on in the turret. He's on the ground, and I got exploding .50 caliber rounds in my shoulder, right? And I'm yelling, I'm hit, but I'm okay, you know. Well, I don't know who became tank commander now, but they backed me up. We turned around and off we went to Kowloon with the wounded, you know. Lieutenant Himes, he got taken out. Now I'm tank commander, right? So we load up some more troops. We go back to the disabled vehicles in the road, and Fred Mace, and I'm surprised he's not here. I think he was from Maryland, and I wished he was. I think he's still alive. He got pretty well jacked up with Agent Orange. I think he wound up with prostate cancer, like myself. He comes walking up, left his tank. Hey, Griff, look up on that high point over there on that ridge. The Charlie's running right over the top of that, you know. They left the ambush site, you know. And I start cranking out some 90 rounds, you know. And we got told we had at least 100 killed up over that hill, but you know, you never get the real scoop, you know, from the grunts, you know. They enjoy the tank. They want to get on that bad boy, you know, save their legs and that. But yeah, that was a hell of an experience. I didn't have to go to sick bay. Well, I went to sick bay when we got back, and I thought it would have had to been Gene Hackman was our company corpsman. Okay. Right. Yeah. So he's like, "Nah, Griff, yeah, we're going to put you in for the Purple Heart." You know, it's like, son of a gun. I don't know if I really deserve it. You know. It's
take an RPG to your vehicle,
right?
Take the shrapnel.
You get the the .50 caliber rounds were exploding up in that cupola. Unbelievable. Yeah. We didn't get hit any longer with any of the RPGs. You know, I feel like I should have took out my .45 and started, you know, cranking out some rounds that way. But you know, I'm an important person as a driver. Yeah. I can't expose myself, you know, and I felt surely that I did the right thing. You know, if I expose myself and I get shot, now who's going to drive the tank? Exactly. Right? Yeah. We need the crewman in the turret, and you need the driver. And so that was one of my worst experiences in Nam. One other issue, we were on our way out to Cantien, to relieve some other tanks. You know, we were going to be out there for about a month or so, you know, and we're driving along, boom, I hit a mine. Well, I felt the tank as if it went up on one side and then came down, and, you know, it got lifted up off the ground at least probably 2-3 feet, you know, and then that thing came slamming back to the ground.
Yeah.
The turret is full with dirt and dust, and I'm choking, you know. And the next thing I look over to my right, I can see the ground. Upper road wheels got blown off, you know, and that's just the casting. So if you take that off, you got an open hole like a portal,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm out there and I'm like, holy Christ, you know, didn't get hurt, you know, just shook up.
Yeah.
But to look out through the hole and see the ground, I mean, come on,
Yeah.
you know, hell of an experience. But at Carroll, you felt safe,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And Pappy had a monkey, and his name was Chico,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he was our mascot, you know. And he was very, very, he was a pleasant monkey,
Yeah.
but he got on the end of that leash and he would stick his back leg out, trying to grab you. You know, he wanted
Yeah.
to bite,
Yeah.
you know, act as cool as could be, and then you get close enough and he's biting the shit out of you, you know. And we'd have him on a retriever. I'd be taking a tank down to Dong Ha, and he'd sit right on your shoulders, and he'd be picking through your hair like this, looking for little things. And, and he was the greatest thing, you know.
Yeah.
We had him on a tripod of angle iron, and he had a little hooch there, but we had like a half a 55-gallon drum filled with water on the ground. It was like a swimming pool.
Yeah.
And he'd jump into that, and he'd be swimming around. We'd give him fresh water, you know, keep his tank clean like an aquarium,
Yeah.
you know. And that was really cool, really cool.
Did you just find him out in the jungle?
I don't know where Pappy, you know, if you look back in the sponsor boxes, they're saying he belonged to somebody else. But to me, I think Charlie Clemens.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Charlie Clemens?
No.
He wound up being he was in maintenance. I don't know what he did because I never had him out on a repair out in the tank park, you know.
Yeah.
But he became a warrant officer
Okay.
and a Mustang. Is that a Mustang?
Yeah, it's a Mustang.
Yeah, a Mustang, warrant officer. And it was such an experience. Everybody was always friendly.
Yeah.
All the tank crews, they rotate out. You haven't seen them in a month or two, you know, and then they come back in and stay at the tank park and do maintenance on their tank, and then they take off, and here's another crew,
Yeah.
you know. So back at the tank park was really cool. We had Captain Kent.
Yeah.
He was killed, and my good friend Harry Christensen got a Silver Star out of that.
Yeah.
Trying to get the captain back into the tank. He was outside on the tank like John Wayne, and he got hit with an RPG, and that was the end of Captain Kent. And then we had a First Sergeant White. It was like the Daily Planet.
Okay.
You know, right? You know, we had Captain Kent, we had First Sergeant White. We called it the Daily Planet. You had to go up to the office, you know. They're calling you up there, you know. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. It was just, to me, it was an experience that today gnaws on me. I've got PTSD. I feel like I have it pretty bad. I go to the VA in Wilkes-Barre, PA,
Yeah.
and they take such good care of me.
Yeah.
You know, they call me up, Griff, you haven't been to the dentist in a year. It's time you came out here, make an appointment, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, they're so cordial, and they remember everything,
Yeah.
you know. I go there for cancer treatment. When I worked, I went to Sloan Kettering in New York. At the time, I moved to Pennsylvania. I lived there 30 years now,
Right.
but we moved from Staten Island, one of the New York boroughs.
Yeah. You haven't lost your accent.
No, I haven't lost my accent. I like it, actually.
I like it.
You know,
Yeah.
I can really put it on, but normally I talk the same.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They called me Griff, Sergeant Griff. I like that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I was never mean to the troops. They respected me because we came up through the ranks together,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And Terry Bocchino was in my maintenance group,
Okay.
right? David Abad, Kenny Fry, radio operator, Wade something, but he always got these dry powdered supplements from,
Okay.
right, the muscle
Yeah.
supplements. We called them Wade protein, you know. Everybody gets a nickname,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
And we had Torch, was a welder. He was from New England. I don't see their names on any of our rosters,
Yeah.
you know. I don't know if they know about our group or they don't want to be involved. I look through my platoon book,
Right.
Platoon 114, and I look at the faces, you know, and she's like, that guy was a good friend of mine, he was a good friend of mine. If there was only a way that you could find them, you know. They might be on one of those websites that, you know, we got so many Marines in our website, and they tell me we've got another 4 tankers that have come on board. You know, it costs you like $20 to join it.
Yeah.
You know, I never come up with a name.
No.
You know, it's the hardest thing.
I think a lot of guys just wanted to get it over with.
Right. Now Wally Young, now he's here. He's my best buddy.
Yeah.
And Bob Fornwalt, again, him and I served together at Carroll. We went out on operations together. He's here at the reunion.
Good.
And I'm so glad to see him, Bob. And another Shuppy, Ronald Shuppy. He's out in Iowa. Scared to fly. If anything's higher than the corn grows out there, he's afraid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
tall buildings. God Almighty, to think that he would come to New York. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm talking with him now. I talk to him all the time, and he was the first phone call I got. We weren't here an hour. Griff, how's the reunion going?
Oh, cool.
I'm like, dude, I haven't even hardly seen anybody yet. You got to give me a chance here. You give me a few days, and I'll get back to you with you know, try and get things, let you know what's happening,
Yeah.
you know. But now, his wife and I think her sister are flying to New York. His 2 daughters relocated. One's in Manhattan, the other one is down here in Washington, and she's in some kind of an affair with at the Lincoln Arts Center in Manhattan.
Okay.
And I'm like, Shup, you know, forget about the flying. Why don't you drive to my house, right? All you got to do is get on Route 80, and you're going to stay on Route 80 till you get to Stroudsburg at the Delaware Water Gap, and then you're going to come upriver on one road.
Yeah. Can't get lost.
Can't get lost. Can't get lost. He says, you know, Griff, that sounds like a great idea. I'll get back to you. But I hadn't heard from him yet.
Yeah.
But it's still,
You'll get them.
I still got 2.5 weeks
Yeah.
for that to go down, you know. I said, drive to my house. I'll take you to Manhattan, drop you off with the family. You can do whatever you want to do, right? And then you give me a call, and I'll drive down and I'll get you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm only 2 hours out of Manhattan, you know. I'd be more than happy to do that. He's
That's
like,
great.
Griff, I can't believe you do that for me, you know. He says, I'll get my wife to ride home with me, and she'll cancel a return flight. And her sister knows all about flying in the airports, and she's not nervous, and yada, yada, yada. She can go back to Iowa
Yeah.
on her own by plane, you
Right.
know. You guys can come and stay at my house. My house is plenty big for you. I got a room downstairs. I got the man cave. Got your own bath. Just like being at home.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the monsoons, the mud, the floods, you can never get that out of your mind. There's nowhere else in the world you can go and have an experience like that in another country.
Yeah.
That you're down and dirty in the bog, you know. it was just a fabulous experience for me. I have nightmares. We had a Marine right on, it was a grunt. He was just past our tent. So we were right down on the line with the NCO tent. You know, it was the gunny, it was Pappy, it was me, Charlie Clemens, and if we had someone that came in for a day or two, they'd come down and stay with us at the E5 and above tent. You know, it was great. It was great. You know, and we had this explosion. Man, I run out there, and I see this smoke and everything at a bunker. You know, I run over there. There's a Marine laying out on the ground. He had no arms or legs. He was black from the explosion. He was in total shock. He had really slow breathing. What happened was another grunt came by. He was going to make a joke. He threw a smoke grenade, and it landed in the ammo box, hand grenades. And they went off and just blew him out of the bunker. And what a way to go, right? You get killed by your own guy playing a joke, right? I'll never forget that. Such a sad experience. Ask me some other questions.
Well, when did you leave country and how did you get home?
Oh, I left country in April of '68. The 10 offensive was going on. Quezon was getting their ass kicked.
But you had been there for a tour and a half, right?
I'd been there for a tour and a half already, right? I came home for that 30 days free leave. And then I come back for another 6 months. I felt like I wasn't ready yet to leave. My troops to me were more important than me getting my ass out of there.
Did you fly back to the States?
I flew back to the States. I went to Okinawa,
Okay.
right? Staging area there. Flew to California. Then they put me on another flight, and I wound up in, I think I landed at Newark. Carried my sea bag home. My mom had moved. I didn't know where they lived, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And I went to my old neighborhood, saw my girlfriend that I got the Dear John from, you know, and
In country?
in country, right?
Oh, geez.
And she greeted me with open arms and everything else.
Yeah.
It was great. And they called my mom, and she come and picked me up. And meanwhile, at the same day, she got the letter in the mail from, who they send that to? Western Union?
Yeah.
That I had been wounded in Vietnam. And then here I was.
And there you were.
And there I stood, you know. I hugged my mom. I loved my mom. And my brother went in the Marine Corps. He was in an air wing. I guess he's following after his big brother, you know. And he did his 4 years. And he lives now in Georgia.
Okay.
And well, I love my family. I have my sister, her daughters, their children, you know. My boy just got married 3 weeks ago, and he's 38. And the mayor of Stroudsburg, PA, came to the home and officiated the wedding. You know, yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, it was a surprise. He called up on Monday, Mom, what are you doing Friday? She's like, well, we're supposed to go to Matt's wedding right here in Arlington. You know, he says, well, how about Thursday? We're not doing anything Thursday. She says, well, come to my wedding. And first we said we couldn't go, but then we were like, well, why should I go to my nephew's wedding when my son's getting married?
Yeah.
Right? So we canceled that part of it, and as if they thought we could, you know, go to his wedding, then drive down Friday. for his wedding,
Yeah.
you know, which was over the weekend. And our backs are out.
Yeah.
We're kind of done. We couldn't make that drive,
Yeah.
you know, so we canceled that. We got a little furor going on in the
Yeah.
family, you know. But
It'll pass.
it'll pass.
Yeah.
It'll pass. So I came back in April of '68. Okay, I had leave. I wound up going back to Lejeune, and they asked me if I wanted to. I spent about 3 months then in Lejeune, and they asked me if I wanted to go to Gitmo. Hey, why not? Right.
Oh, geez.
So off to Gitmo I went, and there was all my guys.
Really?
Yeah, Bob Fornwalt. Oh my God, it was just beautiful.
Was that like a staging area for heavy equipment or anything, or does it have anything to do with MOS?
In Guantanamo Bay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was a tanker.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was a tanker down there, and they had the 103s,
Okay.
right? Them
Yeah.
heavy boys.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have done any good in Vietnam. They were just too heavy.
Big,
Yeah, too big. But the firepower of that 103 millimeter gun would have been fabulous,
yeah.
you know.
Jeez.
But I love that, you know, up on the line, you can look over,
See the bad guy?
see the bad guys over there with binoculars, you know, you see them put their flag up every morning. We're doing the same with ours, you know. Yeah, you didn't get that feeling of combat, but you still had a bunker,
Yeah.
you know. Stay out there for a week, come back in, you know. And I had a lot of guys down in Guantanamo that were my Marines,
Yeah.
you know.
That's great.
It was fabulous.
Involved back
And
then.
then I went and saw the Top. I said, Top, what are you going to do for me? He says, I don't know, Griff. What do you need to have done? I said, well, I'm getting out in 3 days. When are you going to send me back to Lejeune, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, holy crap. You know, got me on the plane the next day. I mustered out. You know, what did we fly into? Oh, maybe Cherry Point.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Went back to the tank company. I mustered out, and I had the option now. I had a girlfriend down in Florida.
Uh-huh.
She was the sister of a fella I was in his wedding with at Lejeune, you know.
Okay.
And yeah, we became really good friends,
Good.
you know. And I had the option. I was driving a '67 Chevelle Super Sport. Sweetheart of a car, 396, big block Chevy, right?
Muscle car.
Muscle car.
Yeah.
And I saw the '69 Chevelle SS 396. Chevy blue, was gorgeous. And that was in town on the lot, you know. I said, well, here's what do I do? Flip the coin, am I gonna go to Florida, or am I gonna trade my car in for this one and I'm gonna go back to New York? Well, I took the car. I took the car and I went back to Lejeune. Back to New York City.
Wow.
My background then, I got a job at Cummins Engine Company. I worked there for 25 years. I worked my way up to service manager at the shop. Then I was field service manager. I got into the generator end of the business, and then I worked for the sales department on all their startups. And I was the startup and commissioning guy, you know. And I traveled to quite a few places. At that point, I was working in the Caribbean, right?
You had quite a life.
I did. It had. Well, my story ain't over yet. Cummins bought Onan, and now the effect was all the warranties under one roof, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they manufactured the generator sets at Onan, right? So once we took that over, now everything was Cummins, right? Then you were trying to sell the product by the price the engine company established, right? And then when you go into bid, you have Caterpillar, you've got Detroit Diesel. If they're an approved vendor, everybody's got their quote in, you know? Well, here we are, we can't match any of their pricing, you know, and everything goes by bid. If you're an approved vendor, They don't care whether they buy Cummins, they buy Detroit, they buy Cat. It's the bottom line that counts.
Yeah.
We can't compete, you know. We got nothing going,
Yeah.
you know. Now the salesmen are crying the blues, and they go over to Detroit Diesel,
Yeah.
right? I was having issues now with the new vice president of off-highway, and we just butted heads. He was a black guy. He was a lieutenant in the Army.
5 minutes.
He was a lieutenant in the Army.
Real quick, would you just check your time on your phone?
Oh God, 10:59.
Oh,
Oh man, that was the whole hour. Give us another 5.
okay.
Right? And the end result, I jumped ship, and now I was back in the union, operating engineer, local 15 out of Manhattan, making the big money,
Right.
and all I have to do is worry about me. I don't have to worry about anybody's vehicles, the troops, the jobs. How come you didn't get it done on time? The whole 9 yards. The pressure was right off me. You know?
Yeah, okay.
I worked in Russia. I worked in Saudi Arabia twice.
Wow.
I just had a fabulous career.
You've
You
done
know,
a lot
the
of
Marine
stuff.
Corps did everything for me, right?
Yeah.
From that initial training, and your life as a Marine, you never leave that,
Yeah.
right? I'm so proud of myself, my wife. She's gotten me through. I probably would have been dead by now. My wife is a nurse. She was like, you know, Jeff, I think you ought to get your, I forget what they call it, you know. Anyway, I go get checked. They're like, oh, you're not looking too good, my friend. You got prostate cancer. You know, so I had that radical surgery. I've had my knees replaced, extensive work on my shoulders. My back is out of alignment. My back is jacked up. But I think that cancer would have killed me, right? And she's my backbone. My wife is everything to me.
Yeah.
I just love her dearly. We've been together for 44 years. I can't think of anyone else that I can be more dependent on or love as much
Good for you.
as my bride,
Yeah.
Mary Beth, and she's here with me today.
Thank you for bringing her.
I love
And
it.
she's,
She-
you know, there's one thing that I want to do sooner or later with this type project
Right.
is talk to the wives.
Right.
And get their perspective.
Oh, God almighty, you talk to my wife, you'd be crying. She's just everything to me is my wife, Mary Beth. I love her completely. She's just as sweet as can be,
That's great.
you know? And we get along so well after
yeah,
all these
44
years, you know?
years? Yeah.
Yeah, 44 years.
Yeah.
It's marvelous. But my experiences in Vietnam were catastrophic. We had our good days. You know, we had beer flown into us. Right? We couldn't get chow, but they brought us beer.
Yeah.
2 cans a man.
Yeah.
And that was down off of Contien. And have a couple of cold beers. A little better than what the water
Oh, gosh.
temperature was, you know, but they still had a chill to them, you
Yeah.
know. It was the greatest thing. So I made it home. Vietnam has been on my mind every day since I've gotten out of the Marines. But I have to thank the Marine Corps for giving me a career.
Yeah.
And the turmoil in the Corps today, second tanks got
I heard that.
this decommissioned. I went to Tiger Camp, and me and Wally.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we
yeah.
we
Yeah, I
went
saw
to
the picture.
we went to Tiger Camp,
Yeah.
and that was fabulous to see those Abrams tanks fire.
Oh, yeah.
God Almighty, knock your shoes off.
Yeah.
It's such a it's the greatest tank, you know. But I want to get on an M48, the Philly reunion.
Yeah.
We went to Aberdeen,
Yeah.
right, and met the instructor there that you see on TV.
Yeah.
He was a Marine, and they brought us in the back room and God, I had my hands on an MP44.
Oh, God.
Oh my God, that was the greatest thing.
We got to wrap it up.
Okay.
Because these guys are waiting.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're
Griff,
quite welcome.
Your
I
stories-
hope they.
Oh, it's going to be great.
I hope they.
The sincerity, the things you experienced, and your life outside the Marine Corps, and
Right.
your love of your wife.
Oh, it's
That's
beautiful.
all right there.
Yeah, I can't get past the dead Marines we had on the back of our tanks coming out of Cantien. You just can't explain that experience to anyone to think that they could understand you.
Yeah.
But Pete, thank you for having me as an.
Oh, thank you.
I've been
Great
putting it
story.
off for the longest time, and I felt now it was my duty.
Yeah. Perfect.
I might not have explained everything in the short period of time that we had.
The honesty and just your experiences
Right.
is there.
My
We've got to capture.
Okay.
That's great.
Well, thanks again.
All right. Thank you,
you.
Griff.
Thank you, Pete.